All right, everyone, welcome back to Save Point Vids Reviews, our review series on whatever it is that we want to play. Not going to lie to you, this is my second time recording this video. I just recorded this session, ended up being about 20-25 minutes. I immediately went into Premiere Pro to edit it and put it together to put up on YouTube, and it turns out the file was corrupted. No idea what happened. I've tried a couple different things. It's just not going to work. So I figured instead of being frustrated and, trying to save that file or whatever, I just would record again. But anyway, so this video is going to be all about Life is Strange Episode 1 from Season 1. This is an older game. It came out in 2015, published by Square Enix, developed by Don't Nod. I'll break this up into two parts. The first half of the video will be fairly spoiler free. I'll talk about the mechanics, the production value, give you a very, not brief, but a very generic overview of the plot and the story. And the second half will be spoiler-filled, kind of going into the actual story beats of what happened in Episode 1. The reason being is that this game is all about character development and plot and narrative, and so I don't want to, if for those that might still want to play it or haven't played it yet, but, obviously plan to, I don't want to spoil anything without giving you a fair warning. But this game is a third-person adventure game in the vein of, Telltale games, in the vein of Quantic Dream games, supermassive games, like Until Dawn and the Man of Medan, which has yet to release as of the time of this recording. It doesn't have the production value of a Quantic Dream game, but the style and the structure is the same, where you go through the environment, you can interact with the environment, search for clues. Most importantly, though, you have the ability to make decisions that alter the narrative depending on what route you choose. So it's, and the reason I wanted to play it after, it's been out again for several years is that I was just in the mood for something a little slower paced, a little less action focused, and I just wanted to get lost in a good world and a good story. I know a lot of people play video games for the gameplay, which makes sense. I've always been interested in plot and story and characters that I care about. It's one of the reasons why I loved and still continue, but especially when I was growing up, loved JRPGs, or RPGs in general, but specifically JRPGs, getting, the plot and the character and the stories. Anyway, that's a tangent. But that's what I was in the mood for. I didn't really want anything too action heavy, something I can sit back on the couch and kind of just relax and enjoy. But anyway, so this is episode 1. If you like the sound of this, or you end up, liking this video, I will ask you, please, sincerely, to give it a thumbs up, hit the subscribe button if you feel so inclined. We do a couple of podcasts per week, the Save Point Vids podcast, where we actually talk about what we've been playing and the video game news from the previous week. We'll kind of recap it and review it and just give our thoughts and opinions about it. Then we have the definitive top 10, where we talk about the top 10 whatever it is that we want to talk about in video games. We've done top 10 shooters, top 10 moments in video games, top 10 most badass characters. So that's kind of a fun one, and we'll just kind of, debate where they belong on that list. And then we have a Let's Play as our third podcast, or our third video, I should say, of the week. So, feel free to check out, obviously, our other content. Again, give it a thumbs up, subscribe, and most importantly, tell a friend. We love what we do, but we can't do it without your support. So, please and continue. Please and thank you, and continue to do that for us. We obviously greatly appreciate it. But let's talk about Life is Strange. So from, a gameplay perspective, like I said, it's very slow. There's not any action to speak of. Most of the player agency comes from the choices that you make, and again, interacting with the environment to, do very light problem solving or puzzle solving, things like that. So again, if you've played a Telltale game, you're going to know what to expect. It's nothing to write home about. It's not the reason that you're playing this game. The reason you are playing this game, again, is if you are the type that really enjoys a narrative-focused experience. This one, again, no spoilers in this part. I'll give you just kind of a quick overview about what the actual game is about. For transparency's sake, I will say that I've only played episode 1 of this game so far, so I can't even spoil the future episodes because I haven't played them yet. I literally just finished about a half an hour ago episode 1, and I immediately wanted to put my thoughts down for you guys. But the game follows Maxine Caulfield, who is moving back to her hometown of Arcadia Bay after spending 5 years in Seattle with her mom and dad. The reason she wants to move back home is that she has been accepted and she got a scholarship to one of the most prestigious photography academies in the country. She's always dreamt and wanted to be a photographer, and obviously with this being one of the top schools in the country, it only made sense to go back. You learn this within the first couple minutes of the game, so I don't necessarily think it's a spoiler. I'm trying to figure out how to say this without, again, spoiling anything. But yeah, so basically it's just her coming back home, learning to readjust to life in her hometown. She has childhood friends that she hasn't seen. She's trying to make new friends. She's dealing with what I imagine all of us have dealt with, in that time period in our life. I'm 32 now. When I was 18, when a teenager, you're still trying to figure out who you are. Do I fit in? You're self-conscious about everything. Your insecurities. You're overcompensating, and so a lot of that is played out on screen here as well. And for the most part, I think it's done in a very convincing way. To say too much more, I don't want to spoil it, but yeah, it's okay. So I'll say this because otherwise, what I'm saying now is not going to make any sense. The game opens up, and again, this is the very first scene as soon as you start the game up. The game opens up with you in the middle of a giant storm. It looks like you've maybe woken up in a forest near a lighthouse, and it's raining sideways, and there's wind, blowing everything around you, and you try to find safety in this lighthouse that you see right over the right over the next hill, or the next, just around the corner. And so, that has something to do with it. Again, not too many spoilers, but that's kind of like the overarching mystery behind, the what propels you through the game. You find out within the first couple minutes that Max has the ability to rewind time and play out events differently if she so chooses, or you as the player chooses. And again, that goes into the mechanic of, dialogue choices, and depending on what happens, how do you want to respond. So you do have the ability, although it's not mandatory, you have the ability to rewind time before the decision took place, to take the other route if that's what you want to do. And I'm trying not to spoil it because I don't want, obviously with a game this plot heavy, I don't want to spoil anything, but I'm not doing a great job of selling how good this game is. It's just, let me just put it this way. I'll just make a blanket statement. If you like games like what Telltale did before they shuttered, RIP Telltale, if you like games like, Detroit Become Human, or Heavy Rain, or Until Dawn, again, not in the production value, but just, that type of experience where your decisions matter and it's more about, again, the plot and the story rather than the moment-to-moment gameplay, I say give this game a shot. At least this first episode, to see if it hooks you. It's exactly what I wanted. It's not perfect by any means. You know, some of the dialogue is very clunky. It's very cheesy and hokey. It's, you know, the main cast is for the most part pretty good, you know, but a lot of the secondary and side characters that, you know, just kind of come and go, their dialogue is, a lot of it is just so bad. Like, it's just so bad that it actually pulls you out of the experience. It's like they, and I don't want to insult anyone, but it's just not good. It's really not. And, you know, if I'm being honest, and I don't like dunking on people and shitting on people, because I'm sure they did the best they could, but it's just not good. But again, those are secondary characters. Those are people that, again, you might have one or two interactions with, and then for the most part, at least in this episode, and then you're kind of on your way. But yeah, I mean, it's good. Again, I don't want to spoil too much, but if you like again, I'll just say it one last time. If you like those type of games, give it a shot. I don't think you'll be disappointed. I certainly wasn't. And, you know, it's, even though I'm playing it for maybe 5 years after it originally released, you know, it's still worth it. So check it out. But anyway, so that's going to be the end of the spoiler free part. Now we're going to go into full blown spoilers. I'm going to, you know, I'll put a big graphic at the bottom of the screen. You know, feel free to turn it off and come back to it after you play it. Or, you know, if you've already played, obviously feel free to continue on. Or if you don't care about spoilers, you know, continue on, obviously. So it's all about, you know, again, like I was just saying, the game opens up with you in a vision. It turns out it's a vision of a lighthouse. And, you know, as you get up to the lighthouse, again, the town is called Arcadia Bay. So you get to the lighthouse, it's overlooking the bay, and there's a giant tornado that's just wrecking havoc. And it turns out it's like going towards the town to destroy it, obviously. And anyway, so after the vision, you snap out of it. It turns out you're in the middle of photography class. You're in school. So you learn about the characters. You have a crush on your professor, it turns out. Victoria is kind of like the bitchy, snobby, rich girl that everybody loves to hate. Yeah, so, I mean, you know, that... what was her name in Mean Girls? Rachel McAdams' character in Mean Girls. I can't remember her name. But anyway, that type of character. You know, she's the popular girl, but it's only because she's like, again, bitchy and snobby, whatever. So, you know, you're learning about all these classic archetypes. You're kind of like the outcast. You're trying to still, you know, get readjusted to life back in your hometown, trying to find your place with your friends. And so you're going through, you know, you end up, the next scene, it takes place in the girls' bathroom. You're basically just like splashing water on your face, you know, trying to, you know, calm down after the vision that you just had. She is convinced it wasn't a dream and that she just blacked out and had a vision. So she goes to the bathroom to try to just, you know, take a deep breath, relax a little bit. And it turns out, you know, this guy walks in. He ends up being the rich, entitled guy in school who comes from like the good family, the quote unquote good family, you know, the most prestigious family in town, who apparently gets everything that he wants. So anyway, after that, he's clearly off center. He's like talking to himself. He's pacing back and forth in the girl's room. A girl walks in, and you can tell very quickly that they're at odds. She's blackmailing him about something. She's like, I'll expose you for who you really are. We know that you're just a drug dealer and you're pushing all these drugs through school, blah, 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 blah. He doesn't take too kindly to that. He's like, no, nobody's going to rat me out. You know, you mind your own business. He pulls out a gun, shoots her right in the stomach, right? My mouth dropped, or my jaw dropped. It really did. I was like, oh, I was not expecting that. Very cool moment. I was like, well, yeah, I mean, I guess this is the world that we live in. It's, you know, who knows? But anyway, they try to tackle real issues, I guess, or realistic issues, I should say. Turns out that this is where Max understands that she has the ability to alter events and rewind time and change things so that the outcome is different. So she, again, the scene replays itself. She walks back to the bathroom. The scene kind of plays out similarly up to this point. The guy and the girl come in. They start arguing. He does the same thing, pulls out the gun. But because you know what's going to happen, Max thinks very quickly on her feet, hits the fire alarm, and the girl that was, had the gun in her face was able to basically escape. And so, again, so you're learning this, you're figuring this out. You exit the bathroom as Max, and you're confronted by like the asshole security guard who just seems to be a fucking dick, and I don't know why. It was a little over the top, because it's just like he was an asshole, and he comes up a couple times in this chapter. And anyway, so he was like giving, Max the third degree, like, well, the fire alarm's going off. What are you doing still in school? Blah, 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 which, I mean, I guess is a valid question, but it was more of the delivery. Max goes over to the principal and rats on the student. I keep wanting to call him Garrett. I don't think that's actually his name, but his name is Garrett now. So she walks over and rats on Garrett, but this is one of the choices that you can make. So again, you can either rat on him, or you can kind of keep it to yourself and, be on your way, I guess. I don't know how that plays out because I didn't take that route. But if you wanted to change it, again, you could rewind, hit L2, and go the other way. Flash forward to the next scene. You're in your dorm. You have to get a flash drive back to one of your friends. You borrowed a flash drive with some movies on it. So you end up getting the flash drive back. You meet him out in the parking lot at the school. And the guy, Garrett, that you ratted on, again, in my playthrough, he confronts Max about it because the principal called him into the office and basically said, hey, we heard from a student that, you had a weapon, so we need to know what the fuck's going on. A couple things wrong with this scene. One, when I told the principal that, he was waving a weapon around, he didn't seem to care too much. He's like, all right, we'll look into it. Like, no, I mean, like, this is a pretty serious allegation. You might want to, like, get him now and talk to him now, maybe get the police involved, but what do I know? And also, when you as the principal call the accused student into your office, you might not want to use the name of the person that ratted on you. You know what I mean? Or that ratted to you, I should say. You might not want to name drop the student that like was trying to do a good thing, because what happens now is that Garrett confronts Max in the parking lot saying, hey, bitch, basically, stay out of your business. You don't know what you're talking about. Blah, 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 blah. The friend that Max is meeting out there, whose name is Warren, tries to stick up for Max, gets in Garrett's face. They end up, getting into a fight, rolling around in the parking lot. A truck pulls up. It turns out it's Chloe, which was Max's best friend growing up before she moved to Seattle originally. She tells Max, jump in the car, and they take off, right? So after that, we flash forward again to the scene in the truck with Max and Chloe. And, it's kind of awkward at first because they literally have not spoken in 5 years. Max is apologizing for not keeping in touch, which I was thinking like, hey, I get it. I didn't make an effort to reach out, but neither did you. So I don't know why you're pinning this all on me. But again, whatever. I mean, it is what it is. So anyway, they end up driving through back to Chloe's house. They go upstairs. They're hanging out. Chloe lights up a joint. She's really changed since Max left 5 years ago. She seems more depressed. She's not the same Chloe that Max remembers as happy-go-lucky girl. But anyway, blah, 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 blah. We end up learning about, it's alluded to that, Chloe had a girlfriend named Rachel who ended up disappearing and is on all of these wanted posters throughout town, disappearing 6 months ago. And so, especially since then, the last 6 months, Chloe's been very depressed, very down. She feels like she was abandoned by all of her friends and her girlfriend. And, her real father passed away, and now she's got this dickhead stepdad. And so she just feels completely isolated and alone, right? So anyway, she's like, hey, I just want to chill out by myself. I don't want to talk to anybody. Why don't you go downstairs and grab some tools out of the garage to fix your camera? Max goes downstairs, goes into the garage, starts looking for tools. It turns out while she's looking for tools, she's also doing a little bit of snooping. Turns out that the stepdad of Chloe's is actually the dickhead security guard from the academy, from the school that they go to, Blackwell Academy. So there's kind of a connection there. Former military, but he's just kind of a hard ass for no reason. Who knows? But anyway, so during your investigation, or during your snooping, I should say, turns out that he's put like security cameras all over the house. He's taken candid photos of students at the school, at the academy. We don't really know the reason yet, but who knows? I'm sure that'll be explored in a future episode. But anyway, you end up finding the tools. You go back upstairs. You and Chloe are, mending the relationship a little bit, right? And you guys are getting along, blah, blah, blah. You start playing some music. You guys are dancing and hanging out just like old times. And then Chloe's stepdad comes home. And so, you have the ability to hide. I didn't hide. So when he came in, he basically jumped all over Chloe, started yelling at her, calling her, names, and, just basically saying that, you're causing nothing but problems. He finds the weed that they were smoking, or that she was smoking. And again, Chloe blames me as Max for it. And you have the ability as the player, as Max, to either go along with the story and take the blame from Chloe, so her stepdad doesn't like jump on her even more, or you have the ability to basically put it back on Chloe and make her take the blame for it. Either way, it's, he basically ends the conversation by saying, stay out of my house. I don't like strangers in my house. If you come back again, I'll show you what real trouble's about. End scene, right? Again, he's an asshole for no reason. Who knows? You guys leave, right? You get in the truck, and then you end up, at the end of that scene, you end up driving to the lighthouse that you saw at the beginning of the episode. Except this time it's nice out, the sun is shining, the sun is setting, it's 80 degrees out, not a cloud in the sky. You're going up there, you're catching up more. You learn a little bit more about Rachel. You learn more about Garrett and what Chloe and Garrett's relationship was like. Basically, Chloe was in some trouble. She needed some money. And so she thought that she would get drunk with the rich kid, wait till he passed out, and then basically rob him. Turns out that Garrett slipped her something in her drink. She passed out. She wakes up, and he's taking like weird pictures of her while she was passed out. She escapes, and basically she was going to use that as blackmail to extort money, to try to get money from him again to pay off this debt that she owes, which we don't know about yet, or we don't know the details of yet. Anyway, so during the middle of that conversation, Max has another vision, the same vision at the beginning. It's storming. They're in the same place. They're out by the lighthouse. It's storming again. It's raining sideways. There's leaves and branches and shit blowing everywhere. And as she's walking up to the lighthouse, she finds a newspaper clipping, and it has the date Friday, October 11th, which Chloe said, I keep getting mixed up. Max says is only 4 days from now. So it must be October, 10, 9, 8, 7, October 7th, right? So, it's assumed, and she sees the big tornado out in the bay again. Heading for the town. And so she's like, well, is this like a vision of the future? Is this going to happen in 4 days? And, it turns out, again, she had another vision. Chloe grabs her, pulls her out of the vision, and Max basically spills the beans about what's been going on. Like, just tells her everything. it lets it all, what the day has all been about, how she can control time, about her visions, and this and that. Chloe basically tells her, you need to chill out, and you've had a big day. You need to rest and relax or whatever. All of a sudden it starts snowing outside. And again, it's 80 degrees in Washington, and it's snowing in the middle, at the beginning of the school year, August, September, or I guess October. Yeah. October, early October, it's snowing and 80 degrees outside. And then that's kind of where the episode ends. They're left wondering, like, why is it, what's going on? Like, and so I'm excited to play more. I'm excited to play episode 2. The game, again, is not perfect by any means. There's some clunky dialogue. The gameplay, while it's not what I'm playing for personally, it's pretty basic in that regard, but I don't know what I would expect otherwise. But the characters themselves are, I think, fleshed out in the way that they seem to be typical American high school student. I shouldn't even say American, because I'm sure people deal with this all over the world, but just typical high school students, young adults dealing with the shit that young adults deal with. Again, what is your place? Do you fit in? You're self-conscious. Are you're trying to figure out the rest of your life already. And, and then all of a sudden you have this not supernatural element, but you have this superpower, and you have these visions on top of, the regular high school life. You have all this other stuff that this character is dealing with. You're trying to reconnect with your best friend from growing up. And so, yeah, I'm excited to see more. I'm definitely going to play episode 2. I'll let you guys know what I think of that, but I definitely recommend this, especially if you want that narrative type of game. I slept on this game for several years. It was in my download queue, or my download list, for literally years, and I just never downloaded it to play it. I'm glad that I have. I'm excited to finish out this. And yeah, I mean, that's it. If you like the game, give it a shot. At least episode 1, see what you think. But anyway, guys, that's all I've got. Again, my name is Josh Taylor from Save Point Vids. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. Hit the subscribe button below. Tell a friend, most importantly. And feel free to follow the Save Point Vids account on all major social media platforms. Just, search at Save Point Vids on any platform you can think of. We'll be there. And I'll give you an update when I'm done with episode 2. Until next time, everybody stay